Thank you, member. Recognizing West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and for the opportunity to speak in support of this motion regarding Earth Day. The theme for Earth Day 2021 is Restore Our Earth. And we're talking about the restoration of our climate, not simply the mitigation and the adaptation. We are looking at natural resources, emerging green resources, and innovative thinking. These are all things that British Columbia has in abundance. I was honored to have an opportunity ahead of the Conference of Parties, the Paris Conference of Parties, to do a project with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And what we looked at was how do we use global trade and trade levers for encouragement of adoption of green technologies such as solar panels, wind-generated energy. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that we can do in this province to be part of that change. As an industrialized nation, we have an obligation to the developing world to take action on the real and clear impacts of climate change. We have been speaking recently in this House about the importance of committing to take action against systemic racism. And we know that the low-income, Indigenous, and communities of color are already bearing the biggest brunt of climate change and are disproportionately impacted by environmental disasters. Now, I continue to worry that all too frequently we make commitments to help fight climate change, to protect our environment, and then we don't follow up with them, with the brave and difficult decisions that need to be made to truly make a difference. And when a government reduces its CO2 emission reduction targets, it becomes a slippery slope. Now, I'm glad to support this motion, and I am confident that although we have different paths to get there, we all want a healthy planet and a healthy future for our children and their children. It's easy this year to feel a bit beaten down after more than a year of stay-at-home orders, isolation away from family and friends, and the inability to move around freely. Now, for a short time, when pandemic measures first came into play, we could see the blue sky above cities that had not seen it for quite a while. But a pandemic is not the way to fight climate change, and for the most part, those emissions have returned to close to pre-pandemic times. In my community of West Vancouver, we have community groups working on issues of climate change at home to promote and address how we can live our lives more responsibly at the community level. This week, this Friday, I'll be participating in the Mayor's Community Cleanup Challenge in West Vancouver, an initiative that encourages residents, businesses, schools, and community groups to get involved, get outside, socially distanced, and help clean up West Vancouver. There's wonderful groups doing work in our community, such as For Our Children. It's a network of parents and grandparents advocating for a cleaner future for our children. And Stream Keepers, restoring local fish and aquatic stocks by fostering and coordinating environmental stewardship among public, corporate, and private stakeholders, doing this through educations and hands-on experience with young people in the community. I'm optimistic, Mr. Speaker, that across the aisles, governments are committing to acting. I would ask all members of this House to consider making a commitment today to changing one thing about the way that they live. Collectively, everything we do makes a difference. So fix or repurpose something in your home instead of replacing it. Consider buying clothes and other items from second-hand stores. It's a lot of fun with your kids to do that. Plant a garden, put lettuce on your deck, or plant a tree, and practice active transportation. Go for a walk, ride a bike, walk to the store, that 5 minutes away. Don't drive there. And it may sound trite against the global problem that we face, but small change adds up to big change. Inaction happens when we think an issue is too big or too complex to tackle. But if we take steps to change those small things in our lives, it also helps us to begin to understand the bigger things that we can do. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.